Good morning, Rabbi Yeah, Rabbi say, how are you? Omer Ravashi, 7 lines from the bottom of Testament Bays. Omer Ravashi, Toshma, Sloiches Shenicha Megula. We're talking about the Mechatos. This is the water that you take from a mayan. How do you say mayan? A spring. Only from a spring for the paraduma. You burn a paraduma. You take the ashes, mix it with water, and then you sprinkle whoever's tamei from tamei mace. Now, we know, chaval. Oh yeah, here. This is an older video. It's good to see it again. We're very, very makpid on the tumah of this water. So much so that we take women that are in the matzav and we put them in this special place that has no tumah. And these kids are born without any tumah, and they grow up without tumah. And here, just put it on top of. So even if there's a mace underneath, and then eventually we put them on a bull that has a wide door, so they can't stick their hands out and become tamei. And these kids, they draw the water. That's how much we're makbid. A kid, no birthday parties, no nothing until he's 8, 10 years old. So he can draw water. Can't see anybody, can't have friends, nothing. So now, you left this glass uncovered. Uba umatzah mechusa. You come and you find it covered. Who covers a glass? Who would cover a glass? A human being or an animal? Only a human being usually. I mean, not only usually, but usually only. Uba umatzah mechusa. Tmeya. We must assume that it's a human being. Now, if it's a human being, it's 50-50 that whoever covered it is tamei. Shani oimer, adam tamei nichnas l'sham v'kisa. Who else would cover it? You never see a rat going ahead and covering a glass jar. Henicha mechusa. But what if you covered it? We're not talking about a peanut butter cover. We're talking about some plate on top. So if you found it, if you left it covered, uba mitzah megula. Now, this is the reverse. Who uncovers? Usually it's not a human being that's going to leave it uncovered. Now it's an animal. Unless it's your children, whatever. Okay, fine. If a weasel of some sort could drink from it, or nachash, or a snake. Now what's the problem if a weasel or a snake drinks from it? So the problem is that there was malacha done to the water. You can't do any work with it. By drinking it, that's the malacha. And they usually spit back. They'll drink a little bit, but dribbles right back in. And that's a problem. Now you have a cup that has malacha water in it. And then we're going to see, or instead of it being water from a spring, it's water from dew, which is no good. Psula, it's pasul, but not tamei. Pasul. Can't use this for paradum. From Shulin Levi, matam. What's the reason? So, in this situation where the first case, where it was covered, so that then it's for sure a human being covered it, and then you have a 50-50 that a human being is tamei, mela, we consider it tamei. But in the second case, where it's revealed, it's uncovered, now it could be a few things. It could be a human being, and it could be a sheretz. Now, if it's a human being, there's a 50-50 chance that it's tar. Because maybe a human being that's tar uncovered it. But you also have another 30, so let's call it 30%. 33% that a human being that was tamei uncovered it. 33% that a tahar person uncovered it. And another 33% that a sheretz uncovered it, needed a good drink. So totally you have, let's say 66%, you have a roiv that it's okay. They take this out. We'll just read it quickly. That's only because he did something. Because it changed the status. But if you found it the way it is, neither. But this is the nikud over here. If you have a suffix on the water of the mechatos, we say it's possible. But over here, if you find water that's megula, you're going to say it's also, even like the nachash is a very big miut, still you say it's also. So what do you see from Mishmamino? Chamira, Sakanta Misura, we're more makbid on Sakana than we are on Isser, Shma Mino. Okay, so now we just go into the sugya of Megula. Not also, we had a few times with different variations. Shleisha Mashkin Asur Mishum Gilui. There are only 3 liquids that are asur for the concern that perhaps a snake inserted its venom into these drinks. The other drinks are not something that snakes are interested in. So let's say Coca-Cola is not one of them because they don't drink Coke. Mayim, that's water, v'yayin v'chalav. Kama yishu v'yu asurim. What's this mayim megula? If you turn your head around for a moment, do you have to be concerned, or it's a certain amount? Says the Gemara, it's the amount that it takes for the snake to come out of a nearby place and drink. What? How close? As long as it comes out like from the handle itself and drinks. But if that's the shear that he comes out of the handle and drinks, so he's right there, you see him drinking. It's more like, where was it? Oh, here, this one. First of all, this is the Makam Karv. Taisus says over here, it's even a very, very small snake. It's small, as wide as a hair breadth. That's how small the snake is. That's a shvifein, says Taisus. From Rashi, it seems like the snake is coming out of the ground, not so much the handle, and it comes in from the ground, goes in, drinks, and comes back out. So how long does it take? About a minute until it climbs up, until it drinks, until it goes in. So let's say if you turn your back to the wine, to the water, for a minute or two, that's already considered megula. And to remind the Olam, the Vilna Gaon says that even if we don't have snakes today, the Gemara only uses one reason why we shouldn't do it today, but there's other reasons that are a concern. Itmar. Hashoichet besakin v'nimtzes b'guma. Rabbi Isai, is it a good idea to check this knife, the sharpness, to see if there's any begimus, any nicks with your tongue? So when I saw it in the Gemara, I was feeling my tongue to see if it's still there. It's like, the Gemara talks about it. But anyway, Ashoichet besakin v'nimtzes b'guma. So the Gemara, Omer Havuna, Sharf, he says, Omer Havuna, Afidu Shiber Ba'atzom is Kolayim Psula. So we got to get this mamish stark and klar. We have a machlokes here. What happened? We have a knife that was perfectly fine. He checked it with his tongue. It's mamish, not a single nick. He shechs that animal, and then he finds a nick. What happened? There are 2 options. Either, as he started the shechita, it got a nick immediately by the hide of the animal. The hide is thick, and that occasionally could cause a nick. Not very common, but it happens. The other thing is, maybe it happened after the shechita. For instance, afilu shibur ba'atzom is kol hayoyim psula. He was taking the knife, this very delicate knife, and he's chopping away at bones. It's not something you do. And obviously, if you're going to chop a bone, what's going to happen? It's going to create a begima. It's going to create a nick. What do you expect it to happen? So memela, psula, chayshin Hashem ba'ar nivgama. So Rav Huna is of the opinion, I have to go l'chumra. I have to understand that what happened was that, yeah, you had a good knife, but immediately as you started the shechita, it became pasul the knife. And if you have a begima, what's the problem? You're going to do ikur. Ikur means you're going to pull the simanim, and it's going to tear instead of cut nicely, and that's awesome. Rav Chizkiah says no. Let's go l'kula. Let's assume that during the shechita it was perfectly fine. What happened was it got a begima after the shechita. Ksheira shema be'etzim nivgima. It makes more sense to me that as he's chopping away, he knows he shouldn't be doing that. He knows that a bone is a bone and it's going to create issues with the knife. It became pagum afterwards. Let's assume. So says the Gemara, Bishlam Rav Huna Kishmaite. Didn't we learn yesterday? And that's what the beautiful sugi is. Unfortunately, it's not that long, but we have a great sugi about chazaka. Chazaka de mikar. What's chazaka? Chazaka means that we're not always. In this context, Chazaka means that we're going to assume what status quo. The status quo, meaning whatever it was before, that continues until otherwise notified. If this animal, we said yesterday, according to Rav Huna, if the animal is asur to eat, why is it asur to eat? Because it's a living being and you cannot allowed to take a bite out of a live animal because it's Eiver min achai. Even a goy, a ben noach is mechuyev on such a thing. That isur, or the isur, not that isur, the isur continues until somebody notifies you otherwise, until you know that it was shechted properly, whatever it is. So Mela, over here also, I have an isur on this animal, boom, 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 boom. I thought I shechted it, but I found a nick on the knife. I'm going to continue the status quo and say it's asur, asur, asur. And continue. How do I know that it's not asur? You can only tell me it's asur because there was a shechita, but the shechita knife had a nick in it, and I don't know when the nick happened. So now you're going to, the onus is on you. You have to prove to me when the nick happened. Meanwhile, this animal's asur. The chazaka continues, and it's asur. That's Rav Huna. That makes a lot of sense, says the Gemara. But what's Rav Chizda? Why would Rav Chizda argue with the chazaka? Rav Huna, Bishlam Rav Huna Kishmaite. Like he said that there's a cheskas isur, chazaka de mikara. El Rav Chizda my time. Why would Rav Chizda say that this is mutter or malach? Etzem vali poyim. Let's think about it. Everybody knows if you're going to take a knife and you're gonna whack a bone with it 9 out of 10 times, it's going to get a nick. So it's a vadai. There's a certainty. Or safek pagim, safek loy pagim. It's a big safek whether or not the hide. Imagine if every time you shechted and then the hide, then you can't shecht, right? So it occurs once in a while that the hide is going to give a nick. Okay, but that's a big safek. Have a safek of vadai. So now you have a safek against a vadai. Vein safek moitzim de vadai, and the uncertain cannot be stronger than the vadai. Masiv Rava l'sayul Rav Huna. So Rava wants to bring a proof to Rav Huna, basically, and at the same time ask a question on Rav Chizda. Imagine this: a guy who's a painter. Imagine you finish work, and you look in the mirror, and you see like a blotch of paint on your nose. Happens, right? So the question is, when did it happen? When did the paint get there? Did you have it in the morning, right before you went to the mikvah, or it happened later on in the day? After the tefillah, you look in the mirror, sometime during the day, you find something that's a chatzitza, like paint, like something else, like chocolate on your nose. Even though you're a painter by profession, you do this all day long. We have to assume that you're still tamei. Until you could say with certainty, I know for a fact that when I went to the mikvah, I saw in the mirror of the mikvah, I saw there was no paint on my nose. So when I went in, it was a good tefillah. Okay, fine, that's pasha. But the one thing's for sure. You went to the mikvah. There's a vadei tefillah. And there's a suffix whether the paint was on you before you went to the mikvah or after. So that's a suffix. Because it's suffix, it might be vadei. You have a vadei that you went to the mikvah. You have a suffix whether or not the paint was on you. And we say that you didn't do a tefillah. There's no tefillah. That means the suffix won in this case. You have a suffix and a vadei and the suffix wins. Why is the suffix winning? That's a kashmir of Chizd. Says Gemara Shani Osam Dikele Meima Hamid Tomel Cheskosei Ve'em Eloi Tova. So now the Gemara goes step by step. By the paint, you could say, listen, this person was tamei. So his chazaka, this person who's tamei, his chazaka is going to continue. Maybe he went to the mikvah, but maybe he didn't go to the mikvah. So the chazaka, you have a suffix on him, chazaka is going to continue. As the Gemara Achinami. So what's the difference? This animal was also to eat. It was Eiver min achai. So perhaps we could just continue with the chazaka. Says Gemara, but what do you mean? He's dead. He had a slice in his neck. He had a shechita. He went to the mikvah. What's the difference? This guy that went to the mikvah, there's something that tells us perhaps he didn't go to the mikvah. Why? Because he has a bunch of paint on his nose. But also this knife has a nick in it, so maybe it wasn't a shechita. So finally the Gemara gets to where it wanted to get, just to show us how to get there. A beautiful chiddush. Sakin Yisra'i, behema lo Yisra'i. Over here, by the person that went to the mikvah, the person himself has a reusis, something wrong with the person himself. He has paint on his own nose. Over here, in our case, the behema has nothing wrong with it. The knife has something wrong with it. The knife is an external factor. That's something else. Meisvei. Oh, so this is a question I asked yesterday. Not everybody knows this. So for those of you who weren't here Motzei Shabbos, how much of the 2 simanim of a bird, how much of the 2 simanim of the bird do you have to shecht of a chicken? Only one out of the 2. Only one out of the 2. So check this out. Over here you can see a bird has the same thing as an animal. It has a kana, which is the trachea. It looks like the Israeli air conditioner pipe with a bunch of rings. And then this red thing, which is the veshet, which is the esophagus, which the food goes down. I guess you would hit the kana first, depends from what angle, but we're talking in a situation where he cut all you have to do is cut one out of the 2. So he cuts one, he cuts the esophagus. And then, after he cut the esophagus, that moment that he cut the esophagus, what happened? Animal is kosher because he cut one. And then the trachea, which it could happen, I guess it happens a lot more often than the esophagus, the trachea pops out. Here, take a look, like this. He cuts one, at this point when he cuts it, it's a good shechita. And then, boop, that guy pops out. It's a nice little video. I like it. It popped. Does that pop create an issue here in this case? No. Why? Because the animal's kosher before it popped. What if it popped first and then he shechted? Then of course it's a problem. Why? Because it's a treifa, it can't breathe. If the trachea goes that way, how's it breathing? Although we had a chicken without a head, then it had a breathing apparatus. No, we had a chicken walking around for a day or 2. Said it's okay, it could live like that. It once happened in 1956 or whatever. Okay, fine. Yeah, mamish like that. So it says Gemara, Shochad es haveshet. Meisei. Shochad es haveshet. We're talking about a bird now, and you only have to shecht one siman. He shechted the esophagus. V'argach nishmatu agargeres, and the trachea popped out. Ksheira, because all you need to do is cut one. Nishmatu agargeres, if the kana, the trachea pops out, and only after that he did shchita, psula, because this animal is mamish a treifa. What if you shechted and now you develop a suffix? You don't know when it popped. Did it pop because you were messing around there doing shchita, or it popped right before you did shchita? You don't know when it happened. Oh. Why does it say 7:55 on my screen on top? It's the wrong thing. It's 40 minutes, okay. Like that. I hope I remember, because I forgot to tell the Israelis. The Hoya Maisa, there's a Rashi, Hoya Maisa Nomad Beis. Ze Hoya Maisa, there's a story like this. V'amru, kol savik b'shchita pasal. Every time you develop a savik in the shchita, it's pasal. Says the Gemara, kol savik b'shchita lasui mai l'chayra. What does it mean kol? Every single time. Every single time means including our case. What was our case? You shechted an animal, then you look at the knife, you see there's a nick, and you don't know when it was developed. Here, that's a savik in shchita. And what does it say? Pasal, you should treat it l'chumra. Lasui gavna. Loi. Lasui savik shah, savik doras. We're talking about a real savik in the shchita itself, not in the knife. Where he paused momentarily in the shchita, or he doesn't know. He pushed downwards. He applied downward pressure instead of back and forth pressure. He's not sure. You know what? Maybe this time I was a little bit forceful on a downward motion. What should I do? Puzzle. Chuck the chicken away. Chuck the chicken. Daf Yudam Beis. Umayshna Hasa Misilida Bareusa Bebehema. Hacha. And the Gemara explains the svar that we said before. That what? When you developed a suffix in the animal, in the chicken itself, in the animal itself, because there's a shihiyah, there's a drisa that's in the animal itself. The neck had a shihiyah, the neck had a drisa, but that's the animal. And memela, I'm going to take this chicken and toss it. Hacha, but in our case it's different. Sakin Israel. The problem didn't happen with the chicken, the problem happened with the knife or the animal. Behema lo Yisrael. And it all has to do with the daf. Rabbi said we're going to make a pshara over here. We're going to say the halach is like Rav Huna and the halach is like Rav Chisda. Rav Huna says when a person uses a knife, let me show you this knife. When a person uses a knife and you find the pegima after, it was perfectly fine before the pegima. I'm not going to take it out. It was great before, you checked it before, but you found the pegima after the shechita, says Rav Huna, throw the animal out. And Rav Chisda says no, the animal's kosher. So let's paskin. If he never broke bones with this, then it is possible. Because how else did it get a begima? The hilchah is going to say the Rav Chisda, but the halacha is like Rav Chisda. That when he did break a bone, the halacha is like Rav Chisda. Why? Because he broke bones later on, 5 minutes later. But when he did the shechita, it was perfectly fine. There's no reason.
Chisda never argued in that case.
Oh, so Michlal Rav Chisda. Obviously, Rav Chisda afagav the loishiber be'etzem. Obviously, if the halach is like Rav Huna, when he didn't break the bone. So, and what do you mean the halach is like Rav Huna? Meaning, Rav Chisda argues even in a case where there's no bone breaking, the guy didn't do vandalism. There's no bone breaking. The halach is like Rav Huna, and not like Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda would say in such a case where he didn't break any bones afterwards that the animal is kosher. How did he get a nick? How did he get a nick? There's only one option so far. He got a nick from the hide of the animal. That means the knife was puzzled and it's not a good shechita. So why would Rav Chisda argue? Hello. So how in the world did it get a nick? Says the Gemara, we have a beautiful video here. Here we go. Check this out. Look at this. Mamish from Motzei Shabbos. He cuts. Boom! Into the spine. And look what happens. You see that? Blow it up. Look at that. There's a nick. And there's even sawdust from the bone. Mardik. Bone dust. So I can say that it happened from the mafrekes, from the spine. Says the Gemara, Haba Uvda. Oh, and I just want to point out Rashi here. That's why I said before, I forgot. Hilchas Rav says Rashi, D'chayshinan la'or va'yidei va'al haya ma'isa. Says Rashi, there's a story with me. V'hoyer li Rabbeinu Yaakov b'Rebbe b'Yakar ba'oif le'isr. He said that even when it happens with a bird, you could assume that the nick in the knife happened from the hide. Says the Gemara. There's a story of the Torah of Rav Yosef at Leisach Chivasa. So this is interesting. Rav Yosef said that 13 animals are treif because we found the nick on the animal. So l'chayr, what's the pashtus? What does it mean 13 animals? All the animals that he shechted. Kiman, Karav Huna, Vafilu b'Kamaisa, everything he shechted that day is treif. Says Gemara Loi, I could say that perhaps no, it means Karav Chisda. That he did treif up 13 animals, besides the first one, because according to Rav Chisda, I'm going to assume that the first animal is kosher. It had a nick. It happened from the mafrekes. It happened from the spine. People say, no, let's go back. It goes like Rav Huna. Dikir Rav Chisda, because I have a big problem. And you want to say that Rav Chisda goes lekula and he says, oh, you know when the nick happened, it happened afterwards. It happened from the spine. It happened from wood, whatever it is. But if you're going to go lekula, there's 13 animals here. So who told you? Let's go lekula, and say, instead of it saying that it happened from the first animal, it got a bgam, it got a nick from the 13th animal. So Mela, I can't go like Rav Chisda, because if Rav Chisda is mekel, maybe he's mekel all the way. And why would Rav Huna? Why would he be paskin? Who said this? A story. Rav Yosef. Why would Rav Yosef say that 13 animals are treif? Rav Kahana says you need to check the knife in between every single animal. Now let's see, how does that go? So there's two reasons why you check a knife. Either you check a knife to make sure that the animal that you just shechted is kosher, or you check a knife just to make sure that the animal you're about to shecht is kosher. So you have to check each and in between every shechita. Kiman, Rav Huna, l'chari goes like Rav Huna, u'lemifsa kamaisa, to say that if you don't check after the first animal, then the first one is treif. Says Gemara like Rav Chisda, perhaps I could be doichik, says Rashi. In other words, there's no force to say that this halach they have to check the knife in between every animal goes like Rav Huna, and to say that the first one is puzzle. Fakert, it goes like Rav Chisda to say that the last ones are kosher. In other words, if I don't check the knife, then even the last ones will be apostle. So in order for me to make sure that the last ones are kosher, I have to check the knife. In other words, I'm checking the knife for the future, not for the past, because for the past, it's okay. According to Rav Chisda, we don't care about the past. We're going to assume that the one you did already is kosher and that the nick happened from something else, a side thing afterwards. But if so, if I'm checking the knife for the future, don't you need to show a knife to a Talmud Chacham every time? Says Gemara, no, I don't need to show the knife to a Chacham every time. There's a pasuk that says, the Torah tells me I could check an animal. I have nemanos, me Eli Stefansky, I could check an animal and tell you later, I checked it, it's kosher. There's no eidim there? No. I'm believed on Isser, on a single animal, a single person is believed. Says Gemara, so then why do I ever have to show the knife to a Chacham? And we know that you're supposed to show the knife one time to the Talmud Chacham of the city. Says Gemara, I'll tell you why. It's to give honor to a Chacham. So I didn't understand so well. I said, what kind of, please don't give me any honor. Michael Kovet, okay? Bring your knife to somebody else. No, says the Rashba, you shouldn't be Michael. Because it's a very important thing for a Chacham that knows this stuff to check knives and that the Shaykhim should be using proper knives. So don't be such a tzaddik in an honor and say, oh, I don't need Kovet. No, take the Kovet, because then they'll force him to come to you and show him your knife, his knife, and then we'll make sure that the knife is in good condition. We just spoke about Cheskas Chazaka de Mikara. Do not confuse it with the Chazaka of Shleisha Pa'amim and Chazaka of this. Chazaka de Mikara means, sometimes Chazaka means something completely different than the Chazaka that we're talking about now. So just don't confuse it. Chazaka de Mikara means status quo. Whatever the status was until now, we're going to go until further notice. For instance, if the animal is also because it's Eiver Menachai, it's Eiver Menachai, or it's also to eat until you can prove to me that you shechted it. If you shechted it properly, this animal is 100% good until you can prove to me that there was a nick or something that happened before the shechita. But meanwhile, it's going to be good. Where do I know this? Bar Nachmeni Omer Yonason Omar Kro Biyotza Koimen Abayis El Pesach Habayis V'Hizgis Habayis Shivas Yomim. What happened there? Let's watch the videotape. If somebody finds a funny looking discoloration on his wall, he calls Avremi Cohen, he calls any Kohenin to check it out. And if he decides this is Takanega, we have to close the house up, take everything out, close it up for 7 days. Then he comes back, again checks. But this closing is some Rishonim learn literally the Hizger means to close the front door. V'shava kain uba kain zushiva zubia. I like how the second one appears magically. Okay, that's Hezger. Shema. V'shava kain uba kain. Zushiva zubia. Sometimes the door's open. That's one of the big problems with the AI. Sometimes the door's open this way, sometimes that way. So. You have to remove that stone. If it's a gris is a certain size, 1 gris by 2 gris. Great. So now, how do I prove chazaka from here? Maybe this is what happened. You have to, here, check this out. As Avremi leaves, check that, it's this size. Look what happens. It became smaller. Maybe that's what happened. How do I know that by the time he got to the door, it didn't shrink? Because I'm assuming status quo. It's going to stay the way it is. Mas kiblo. This is a chazaka. Maybe he was walking backwards. MMA here, like this. Take a look. He keeps on going back, and he makes sure that the nega doesn't shrink. And only in that situation he closes the door. Otherwise, he can't close the door. I have two two answers to what you're saying. It's impossible what you're saying. When you walk backwards, that's not when the Torah says to walk out, you walk out. You don't walk backwards. Where do people walk backwards? At the kaisel. So the Gemara is going to prove that that's considered walking. That's considered walking by the kaisel. V'oid that Abai is wrong. Sometimes walking backwards is considered walking. V'oid what if you're blocked by something, by a door, by a wall? So what? So what? You should open up holes in the wall so as you're walking out, you can see through into the bedroom, the terrace, or behind the door. You should pop a hole in the door so that you can see it as you're walking out. So this is an interesting lashon that our Gemara uses. I wasn't excited about this lashon because it's a cannot, but it's based on Rashi. That what? If you're in a dark room, and you think there's an ega, the only way to see it for real is to turn on the light or to open up a window or something. That's not considered a nega. Not a nega. Even if you turned on the light and you saw a nega, not a nega. You don't have to open up the window. The cannot is a little strong, but okay. Meaning, open up the window doesn't change the status. Says Rashi, it's not a nega. It's not considered a nega. So Mamela, it's impossible to say that I have to poke holes in doors and pop the drywall so I could see through into the other room. That's not considered a nega. First of all, you're wrong. Walking backwards, here, check this out. The Kohen Gadol himself, Yom Kippur, like a Talmud from his Rebbe, he walks backwards. So he walks backwards. So walking backwards is good. That's why we walk backwards from the Kaisel to give cover to the Rebbe Shalom. Like you walk off the Aron Kodesh, you walk backwards. The Chsiv Be'Yitzia, and it says in the Torah Yitzia, it says in the Mishnah, Yatzu Baloi Derech Knisasai. When he leaves, it's the same thing as when he came in. In other words, in the same direction. His body is facing the same way. His head is facing the Aron, the Kodesh HaKodashim, and he walks backwards out. With the garments by himself, and this that we tell me that in a dark house you don't open up windows to see the nega. That's if you never established the nega. You don't know if it's a nega or not. You need to turn on the lights to see it. But where you're already established in our case that's a nega. Avremi saw that it's a nega. Just what? You can't see it all the way to the door. So maybe in that case you do have to pop a hole in the wall. Says Gemara Tanya look for Rebbe Yaakov says maybe he's walking out backwards, and you have to see the nega the entire time. Otherwise, there's no chazak, and there's no chazak here. Says in the pasuk that the kohen leaves the house. Maybe the kohen can go all the way to his own house. From his couch, he'll close the door. How? How will he close the door of that house? He'll have a long rope. Oh, so it says over here, do not go home. Do not go home. Stay by the door. If it's literal, by the door, maybe you should be in the door. Maybe you should be mamish in the door. You have to leave the house completely. Okay, Tzad, what do you do? So the best way to do it, according to the Torah, you don't go home and you don't stand underneath the doorway, but you stand right next to the door. But what if you went all the way to your house? Which you shouldn't do, but you did it anyway. So but the evet would be okay. What do you see? What do you see from here? You see, you can be in your own house and pull a long rope that's 200 feet long, close the door, and you're yoitza. You have a bunch of people in a row. Here, take this out. Oh, look at this, Rabbi say. This is what the Gemara says. Maybe this is what happened. Let's give Valdik. He said, sit down. Tzadik, sit. So, Avrami is on his, I don't know if you noticed, there's hides everywhere. There's cow hides behind him. He's sitting on cow hides because he's a kohen. So he's eating his cheesecake, and hundreds of people.
I'm on a diet.
What?
I'm on a diet.
No, this is a dietetic cheesecake. He going to kaim midor the guy around the koi. How? So Avrami is going to say, listen, you don't have to come onto a chazaka. He has first-hand information what it is. Taisus points out, for that I don't need 100 people like in the video. One person that was there at the time that he did the Hesger will tell you that it was good, it didn't grow. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. I'll see you, Be'ez Hashem, in a week. Don't fall off. Reb Nachman, Monday morning, will be here.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.